Hi, everybody. This is Chad Wright with another episode of The Breakdown. On this episode, we're going to be talking about a very special project that I had the pleasure and honor of participating in with legendary bassist Leland Sklar, great guitarist Jay Gore, my wife, great keyboardist Noriko Oling, and phenomenal singer Gussie Miller. We recently did a cover of Philip Bailey and Phil Collins' Easy Lover. It was fun because for me, I've always been a huge Phil Collins fan. And this gave me the opportunity to recreate that drum sound as close as I could recreate it. Obviously, I don't have a big SSL 4000B console, but I do have a great plethora of plugins, SSL choices to be exact, and was able to try my best to recreate this version. So a little background on the Phil Collins drum sound. It started back with obviously fame engineer, producer Hugh Padgham at the Townhouse recording studio in London. They were actually working on a Peter Gabriel album. I can't remember the name of that album. And as the story goes, one of the features of the SSL 4000 consoles was it had a talkback mic. A talkback mic not only for the control room, but for the playroom. And you would hit a listen button so you could actually hear what the musicians were saying in the playroom back into the control room, instead of running a mic into an empty channel on the console and using that as the talk back and bringing the fader up or muting it and soloing it when they had to speak. You could just hit listen on this center console channel or center console. So basically, he had obviously it has a compressor on it, and he pulled it up so that you could hear, any little bit of noise or something, just in case someone murmured something. I'm guessing, and they could hear it. It would still be audible. And you could say something in the far corner of the room, and you could still hear it from that mic and that listen button on the console. They were breaking for lunch or something, and Hugh accidentally left the listen button on with that mic going through the center console, and it's all compressed. And Phil Collins went back into the room, and he played the drum kit. I guess he was working out a part. Everyone commented on how great that sound was. Wow, what a cool drum sound. So Hugh Padgham said, well, all right, I'll remember that. So the next day he called over, or however it goes, and he had the engineers at the studio wire that center console area and that microphone into the patch bay, so he could patch that into a channel, and he could actually use that. And that's what he used the next day while they were recording. And as he was doing that, he said, oh man, well, he's having some fun. Let's see what would happen if I put a gate on it. And he put a gate on it, and that gated room is what we know today as nonlinear reverb. So there it is. It was born. And so obviously, as a Phil Collins fan and drummer, I have always wanted to be able to use that or get that sound, have an excuse to create that sound, recreate that sound. And this gave me the perfect opportunity to do that, thanks to Jay Gore, who had the brilliant idea while we were in this quarantine of COVID-19 to do this little fun project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send it over to the video on the computer behind me, and I'll explain to you exactly what he did, the method that he did. And then I'll use the video playback from the video that we posted up, just of me playing drums, so that you can actually hear what's going on. Without further ado, let's go ahead and let's dig in to exactly how we get this drum sound. All right, so what I've done is I've recreated the environment that they recorded the drums in and got the drum sound. I really wanted to try and get as close to that drum sound, that drum room that I could. So I decided to use convolution reverb. I'm going to start with the splashy stone room. I'm going to use this one for our demo today. The first thing you do is I've got drum soloed, and we're just going to listen to the drums. No plugins going on right now. These are the drums on their own. Okay. Great balance. Now, the first thing we have to do is we have to put it in a room environment. And this is where the convolution reverb comes in. And we're going to use Steinberg's reverence convolution reverb with the splashy stone room. And there we are. We are in our drum room. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to a compressor. You can use any compressor to do this. Plug-in Alliance has an actual bus compressor from the Townhouse. This is it right here, and it sounds fantastic. So first thing I do is, well, I just kind of go down the line. Doesn't really matter which way you go. I take the threshold and I crank it all the way to plus 10 dB. And the next thing is the ratio. I take that to 10 to 1. That pulls the ceiling down on the compressor, right? Squashing is basically what you're doing. Sound is coming up. The minute it hits the ceiling, it gets pushed back down. And you know, the higher the ceiling, the less it gets pushed. The lower the ceiling, the more it gets pushed. Next thing we're going to do is the attack. I'm going to make the attack as fast as possible. This is to really, every impact of every drum hits that ceiling and spreads. So you hear the point and then it spreads. Almost like water hitting the floor. And then, same thing with the release. The release is on auto. I mean, I could have it to 1.2 seconds. But I'm going to take the release and I'm going to make it as fast a release as possible. Here again to help with that splashiness. And then I'm going to take the makeup gain here, which is a 0 right now. And what I like to do to exaggerate is I crank it all the way. So this is what it sounds like when we add each of these elements together. Okay, so now you can hear the compressor is on and it's working. Okay, and now I'm going to take that threshold. I'm cranking it all the way up, taking that ratio 10 to 1. I'm making the attack as fast as possible so it can splash. And to even exaggerate the splash more, I'm going to take the release and make it as short as possible. Now you can actually hear the effect. There it is on, there it is off, there it is on. And if we take that makeup gain, which I like to do to really over exaggerate the room, I crank it all the way. So it's just noisy. You can see it's totally, I mean, I'm clipping, I'm over it, but that's the desired effect, right? Okay, so we've got our compressor going. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to get to the fun part, which is actually the gate itself, just on an ordinary channel, but you can use any noise gate. All right, so we've got our sound established with the compressor in the room. Now we go to the noise gate. Everything is open. Release is wide open. It's totally wide open. The range is 0. The threshold is open. Okay. So I've got my attack fast on the gate release, and I'm gonna pull this. Well, we'll leave that. First, I'll take the range, and we'll go ahead and put 40 dB on the range, just to really exaggerate it. All right. Now we go to the threshold. And there's not much happening right now. But the minute I start messing with the release, starting to close up a little. And if I get a little bit more crazy, and that's basically, there it is. Starting to cut those notes off. Play with the range a little bit, but I like it close as possible because it's tight on the record. Okay, and that's it. That's the sound. So we'll just play with it. Off. On. Off. On. And there you have it. That's how they got that gated reverb sound, or nonlinear verb as it's known. Well, I hope this video was helpful. I appreciate everyone tuning in. I hope that this was informative, because that's all I'm after in doing these breakdown videos, is just information, things that I've learned that I just want to share with anyone. And a lot of guys have shared this information on the net, on YouTube, on so many various platforms. But I just figured I'd like to show how I came up with my method to recreate this legendary drum sound of the 80s, and more particularly of Phil Collins, an icon within himself. Thank you so much. I look forward to the next breakdown video that you guys share with me. And please continue to stay safe and healthy out there. Take care.